Hi, Alan Weiss, another edition of Common Sense Worldview. I'm trying to make these videos a combination of internal and external, sort of existential and external, if you will, because some of my worldview revolves around what's happening all around us, but some of it involves what's happening within us. Today, something about ourselves. I've said from time to time that every day we write another page in our autobiography. Every day we're writing the story of our lives. Or is someone else writing it for us? I think most people would prefer to write their own story than have some biographer do it who might put their own interpretation on things. So, who's in charge of writing your book? Every book has a plot. Every biography, autobiography, has some kind of a plot, some kind of story arc. What is your story arc? What is the strategy you're using for your business? What's the belief system you're using for your life? Are you creating something that makes sense over the long term for yourself, for your loved ones, for your business, and so on? Things can change, but you have to have some idea of where you want to go. Who's the hero in your story? I hope it's you. Are you the hero in your own story? Are you the protagonist? And are you a likable character? Who are the other players in your book? Who are the other characters? And I mean characters purely so. Do you have interesting people around you? Do you consider people to be protagonists or colleagues? Do you see opposition or do you see support? When you get up in the morning, when you deal with other folks during the day, what are you seeing in terms of help? Or what are you seeing in terms of possible resistance? What's in your mind? How do you look at things? Is the main character in your novel controlled, being controlled, or in control? Do you see your days as days that you stipulate, you arrange, you coordinate, you plan, you implement? Or do you see your days as constantly reactive? Do you see yourself as having to be constantly reacting to what happens around you over which you have no control? In my experience in the workplace, as a consultant, I found that the two largest contributors to stress were, one, the fundamental belief that you have no idea what will happen the next day, and two, that you really have no influence over what will happen the next day. To what extent are those things true in your own life? Do you feel that you have control and influence over the next day, or you have none? What is the dramatic tension in your life? All stories have to have dramatic tension. What's the dramatic tension in your story? That is, do you take risk? Do you have plans? Do you have schemes? Do you have intent that is prudent risk in return for great reward? As Taleb puts it in Anti-Fragile, are you looking for a significant upside with a manageable and fairly small downside? Or are you afraid of anything that might portend a downside at all? What's the risk in your life? What's the excitement in the story? And what's the scope of your story? Does it take place in your bedroom or your living room? Or does it take place in the world? Some stories are very small. Some stories pertain to a very small part of someone's life. The entire life of a mayfly is 24 hours, but we're not mayflies. So to what extent is our story global and far-reaching during the course of our lives? And are we using colorful language in our story, or is it more like a college text? Is it more like that professor who's simply reading his dissertation notes? We've all seen them. So what's the color in your story? What kind of metaphor is occurring in your life? What is the language of your life? So my message to you today, in terms of my worldview, is that you claim your space in the world. You create a worldview. You don't just accept what seems to be foisted upon you. You do have significant control of your destiny. The stock market might go up or down. Clients might come and go. There might be squabbles or not within the family. It doesn't matter. You have control over your fate. You can claim it and take it. And you can write an exciting story of your life. But I suggest you start now, because every day you don't, there's another page that's exactly the same. I'll see you next week. See what your story's like then.